give us a call. Our numbers are 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. And by the way, those will be the numbers you will use to be a part of this evening's discussion. Again, thank you all very much for joining us. This is your voice in the community, Thought That Get Results. With regard to your participation in the show, we encourage you to call in on the numbers listed 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. Here's a suggestion. You have a question or comment, perhaps you can get a pencil, piece of paper, write it down so that you're well organized. And when you're getting on the show, you take as little time as possible so we can accommodate as many of you as we can. But we ask only, first of all, you respect yourself and then respect others, because we will not accept anything we deem that's not within our broadcast standards, but we encourage you to always be forceful with your point. Thank you all again. You can follow our live video streaming on our Facebook page at Vaughan Radio and also our YouTube channel at Vaughan Radio. This evening, I'll let you know who is on, but let me get this quick break and come right back.
Are you building a new home, or repairing an existing home, or constructing a commercial project? Contact Brickfeld International for paints, porcelain and ceramic tiles, tile cement, green heart, and more, for the best quality products direct from the manufacturer at unbeatable prices. Call now at 1-869-767-3450 or email brickfeld@gmail.com.
Builders Paradise is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. Builders Paradise has over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builders Paradise has what you need. Wow! Oh, and remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better. This is something that you can't refuse. Visit Builders Paradise today at the C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Site in St. Kitts or call them at 466-4938.
Listening to you on radio from the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis.
Back on this episode of Thought That Get Results. Thank you all again for joining us tonight for the first time, not on the show, but in this capacity. Roger Fifield. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Herbert, and I want to first thank you. But before I go into thanking you, I also want to say good evening to all those who are listening and also to those who are viewing tonight's program. Webbo, I want to thank you for having the confidence in me to be part of the heavyweight panel this evening, and for that I'm grateful. I would no doubt it's a show that is widely listened, and to be a heavyweight, there must be some big shoes to be filled. So I would endeavor to try my best, and of course as I go along, no doubt I would learn, and I would try my best to impart whatever little knowledge that I have to the general public also. Thank you once again, Webbo.
Okay, all you got to do, as we talked before, you play by the rules and you're good. You don't play by the rules. Naya, good evening. Tell him what will happen.
Well, if you don't play by the rules, my dear friend, then there won't be no space for you.
No, any plane.
Yes, and as you see the sign, it's a no spin room, and of course sometimes the seat get pretty warm, but I'm confident that you, with your general knowledge and with your ears close to the ground, I'm sure you'll be able to to play that role quite skillfully and with confidence, and more than that, be of some influence to the general public. that we serve every Tuesday for over 30-something years. So I want to welcome you to the program, and I hope going forward we will have some good conversations and great exchange, I suppose. Sometimes there's a consequence to be borne, but you're not to worry about that, I suppose. Of course, you know the standards, and so I personally am very happy to have you, and I know you're a very enterprising person. You are an entrepreneur within your own rights. I am myself, and so we walk that sometimes lonely road together. And I'm sure based on that you'd have a lot to say, and you will have a lot to depart to people who find themselves wanting and searching for possibly employment. You probably can point to your own circumstance, because I know quite recently I was very far in the country at the end of Zion, and I saw somebody there doing some barbecue and so forth, and I asked who was that, and now I realize it was you. And so based on that and other things, I know you'd have a positive contribution to the program, and positive influence on the people that listen to this program. And all I ask you to be is fair, and I'm sure you'll get along pretty fine.
Why don't we do this? I neglected to do it, Naya. Why don't you, in full disclosure, let us know a little bit, or the folks know a little bit about you. You're a customs officer, by you work there, and you're from, is it Rollins?
Webb's Ground.
Webb's Ground. What's the difference? There's a difference?
Yes, there's a difference.
I was just checking to make sure you're from Webb's Ground. Okay, so you get what I'm saying, and let us know what you do, if anything, in the community and all that, so that folks who are listening going forward will get an idea of your product.
Thank you again, Webbo. As I stated earlier, I'm Roger Fifield. I am a civil servant. I am an assistant Comptroller of Customs in the St. Kitts Nevis Customs and Excise Department, located on the island of Nevis. I also do some barbecuing, myself and my wife, on Fridays at the bottom of Zion, as Naya would have alluded to. For many years, my family, we've been hosting the Jeremiah and Ursula Fifield Memorial Camp. That's a camp that's run over the Easter weekend, and I'm in charge of that camp for the past maybe 20 years. So I also involved in various community programs. I've been a part of JAMA in Nevis from since about 2004, 2005, thereabout, and I'm still on the stage. I have also been a part of Culturama. I was on the Central Committee, served on the Central Committee for about 5 to 6 years. I co-host Culturama Talk some years ago with Abonati, and then I hosted on my own for about a 3-year period. There's so much more, Webbo, that I can say about myself, but I guess as we go along, I would say more.
That's interesting, because I known you a bit, but I never knew that you were a chef. So that's interesting. And the other thing that I didn't know you were from Webb's Ground, or you live. Why did I think you from Rollins?
Well, my wife is from Rollins, so I don't know if that's the reason.
Okay, you see, there be madness, there's method in it. So okay, so All right, so it's good to have you. Nair has already given you the requisite instructions, so let's play. Nair,
I
yes,
just
go
want to
ahead,
ask
Nair.
him one about the summer camp. You say you've
Easter
been
camp.
doing Easter camp.
Yes.
You've been doing it for 20 years. Well, what's the nature of that?
No, it's been running for much more than 20 years, but I'm in charge of that camp for
What's the
just
nature
about 20
of the
years.
camp?
Well, it's an Easter camp, as it started basically with family, just family, and then it would have grown and to include friends, neighbors. I think 2019, if my memory serves me right, was the biggest year. We had 105 persons. We camp at Huggins Bay. We don't camp in buildings, we camp in tents. We try to bring back yesteryear to the present so young persons could understand what happened before. We do have in speakers who would come and speak about things of the past. You know, we have demonstration of making kanki and, you know, sugar cake, cassava bread and such, kite making, and such like that.
I think you're fitting in nicely, meaning you just talk about kanki,
Yes.
sugar cake. You're not going to tell me that you can make kanki.
Well, to be honest, I've never made kanki.
Oh, okay.
I'm being
All
honest.
right. No, okay, good. You know where that came from, right? Naya?
Not sure.
There's a fellow who is a resident analyst here who will tell us about things. And then I would say, so you're not going to tell me you're a pilot too? Anyway, just getting in things lightening up and stuff. So now, yeah, but that camp is interesting.
It is very interesting.
And who goes to the camp in terms of age group?
Well, we are open to everybody. If you have a child, you know, you can bring along the child once you would be able to supervise. When it's a child, I mean child in hand. You know, basically a baby. You know, we're open to all age groups. If I can just go back to 2019, as I said, 'cause that was our biggest camp. We would have had persons who, over the years, who would have traveled from Anguilla, from St. Croix, from St. Kitts, to and Dominica, to specifically to camp with us.
Oh, really? Now you knew about it?
Not at all. I don't even know where is Huggins Bay.
I made a notation here to ask him as well. So where is that?
It's to the bottom of New River, right down on the ocean where they have the old lime
Oh,
keel
okay.
building.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I knew it is, but I didn't know that's the name.
Yes.
And down there, do fishers operate down there?
No.
No. Okay. All right. So that's a place that people can check. How is it?
It's good. It's good. We have an area there thanks to the agriculture department. We try to keep it clean and nice. So when camp time comes, we just do some touching up and ready to go.
You know, that is a good way to segue into a discussion in reference to, I keep telling people all the time and try to make the case that there are lots of things and different aspects to the society and living. I'm not saying that we shouldn't spend a lot of our time on a particular area, but there are a lot of other areas that can make a wholesome and complete living. And if persons can just get involved in some of them, they would realize that this society and living is not just all about some of the things that we need to shut out sometimes. Right? So it's interesting hearing about that. So now you wanted to go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to know more about the camp, because sometimes we hear about camps and mostly we think about kids and so forth, but this is something pretty interesting, really. And how many days you usually camp for there?
We normally start the Thursday, and the Thursday evening we would have the opening ceremony, and of course we would lay out the camp rules in full, because we have to understand it's away from developed areas, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, we are camping under tents. You know, the parents would have entrusted the children in our care, so we have to be. It's a strict camp. You know, it's a no-nonsense camp because we have to stick by the rules. We have to play by the rules, as Mr. Herbert would say. You know, because we don't want any injury or such like.
Safety standards.
Yes.
I know the area very well, and it's quite a beautiful area. It's always quite windy, and that particular building there is something I always thought, you know, they should preserve. I even once upon a time was thinking if I should ask for that little building and do something relating to tourism. So I find it's a beautiful area, and the fact that you said that in 2019 you had over
105 actually.
105 individuals is quite huge, and running 3-4 days.
Yes.
I mean, it's quite huge. I'm sure. One question I wanted to ask is it associated with a particular church or institution, or it's an open camp?
Yes, as I said earlier, it started with family. It was just my family, my mother, my dad, and us, of course. You know, even before me, you know, what happened is that my parents, they used to go and they would camp out, you know, at Huggins Bay for the day. But over time, we started to overnight. You know, and for a number of years now, we've been overnighting. You know, so that's what it is. And if I may, you know, it's a camp that you can learn a skill. We also do community outreach. On the Saturday, we would divide the campers up, and some would go and do community work. We would clean the side of the road. We would clean various churches. I think some years ago we painted the bus stop in Zion, and others would go to the sick, the shut-in, and the elderly, and we would present them with a token of appreciation, you know, to show them that we care. We would give them a gift basket. So that happens every Saturday during our Easter camp. And of course on the Sunday we would go to a church. We would have attended the Nerva Methodist Church, the Zion Chapel, and the Gingerland Methodist Church. Those are the three churches that we normally would go.
Well, that's quite interesting, because today I was thinking about people coming together. I was really thinking about people forgetting certain things that tend to divide us and come together. Because at the end of the day, we see people who even tend to divide us at times. Give them time, they themselves come together. You know, and it's not like I want to talk about the politics of it, but even people who we see sitting together today is people who in the past tell you something about that person who they're sitting with today. And so I was thinking really in a serious way that really all of us, I suppose, want to see a better Nevis, but we should not really get into this enmity over differences, you know, of political opinion or even privileges that you might get through that, you know, what could I say, through that avenue. So what you have brought tonight is quite interesting, really, because I'm not hearing no government involved. I'm hearing it started from a family, and it have now branched out into over 100 and something people who come to this camp on a beautiful site here in Nevis, and doing things that are socially desired and acceptable. And I think that is a great piece of work that should really continue, and I suppose you can use this platform to promote it and encourage people, you know. And you have also said that you tend to live a lifestyle then when you're on camp, that reminds you of the past, because obviously you would have to cook on fireplace, right? You'll have to probably operate without electricity and everything, and that is very important, you know, for people to realize, one, how far we have come, and two, how we can, you know, move away from these things, but we cannot forget them. Because nature itself can present us with circumstances where we have to resort to that type of existence. I mean, we hope not, but I can see quite a lot of fun. I can see quite a lot of social enlightenment through that kind of endeavor. And so I hope what you have said will encourage people to participate more in that and to unwind, you know. But the campers still, they are allowed like cellular phone and so forth, right?
Yes, well, we do allow them to use their phone, but they would not be allowed to use the phone every minute of the day. You know, there are times when they would not be allowed to use their phone. And the good thing about it, you know, there's no electricity. Well, it's good or bad, you know, in terms of the phone. So at some point in time, the battery would run out. But we have means of, you know, to charge them, because we have to understand still that we have to keep abreast with the time. But if I may, Mr. Herbert, you know, what is quite interesting, at least to me, is that there are some of the campers who would have never bathed using a bucket with water. And over the years, you know, you would find a person who say, well, how am I going to bathe? There's a bucket and there's some water, you know, you have to conserve and stuff like that. So that is another way to educate them, to let them know you have to conserve. You know, you just can't go in the shower and you run water as if, you know, it's going to rain every day, so to speak.
Do you have an area where you can play a little bit of sports there?
But of course, every Sunday after church, we have the big sports meet where the campers they would have picked their various colors. I think it's red, blue, and possible orange, I think. Yeah, and we have various sporting. We have flat races, we have three-legged race, we have watermelon race, we have you name it, tread the needle, tread the roll, endurance race, bucket race, fill the bottle, you just name it.
At the same site?
Yes. Yes.
So do the campers go to a particular church on that Sunday, or any camper go to any church they feel like?
No. We go as a group.
As a group.
We go as a group. Last year we went to the Gingerland Methodist Church, and that's a big church, so all of us went to that church. When we go to the smaller churches, some of us would go to the New River Methodist Church, which starts at 7, and then the others of us would go to the Zion Chapel, the MS Church. That's on top of the hill. Yes, so that's what we do. We move as a group, and we also worship as a group. And at mornings we would have PE, we would have roll call, because of course we need to know that all the campers are there, so we would have roll call, we would have PE exercise, and then we come back, we have devotions. After devotions we have cleanup. After cleanup you have your breakfast, because of course persons would have been selected to do kitchen duties, cooks, dishwashers, helpers, and then we clean our surroundings and we go into whatever activities we have for that particular day.
Is it the case where that most of the campers from Nevis come from that side of the island mostly, or do we have them from the other extremes of the island?
We have campers from all over Nevis. Charlestown, Brownhill, Church Ground, you name it, Rollins, Newcastle, from every parish on the island. and various age group.
What about the male to female ratio? It's not a.
I can't give you that, but what I can
It doesn't have to be exact.
yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But what I can say, most of the times we have more children than adults,
Okay.
and how we define children is 17 and under, and we define adults as 18 and over. The male to female, I would say it's pretty much
Balance.
balanced, yeah.
But do you have like how your parents started it? Do you have family units coming to that camp?
Oh yes, my older brother Frank, he don't overnight, but you know he would come up. He would definitely come up. He and his family. I have an aunt. She don't overnight also, but she would come. And one other thing too, we have some campers who are adults who would not sleep over, but they would come down. They would be down there for 6 o'clock each morning, and they would leave maybe 9, 10, and they would come back like around 6.
Is there any strict rule about where do you get food from during those days of camping?
Yes, what we do, you know, in recent times, we give out registration forms. You would fill the registration form, sorry, and of course, if you have any allergies and stuff like that, you would note it on the form, so we know, you know, what to expect, what not to feed you, so to speak, you know, and we do all of the cooking is done there, except on the Sunday, because the Sunday is really heavy. You know, so the Sunday we go to church, we come back, we have to prepare for the big sports day. So all of the cooking apart from the Sunday is done on site.
Okay. Do you have vendors coming to the sports, to the Sunday races and events?
No, we don't have vendors, but we have lots of persons from the community and beyond, you know, come to view the sports.
Well, that's a very interesting thing. Well, probably you can brief the public on how to register.
Well, there are physical forms. Sorry, we don't have any forms online, but you can call 668-0554. That's my number. Or you can call 665-8452. That's my wife number, Rasmin. And there's another number that which is my niece, Charissa Fifield. I don't know it out of my head, but I think I have it in my phone, so I'm going to try and locate that number. If you just bear with me 1 minute, please.
Well, I think it's a great initiative. And that Easter weekend, you're talking about the Good Friday weekend.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. That's very interesting. From my point of view, because you know it's the time when you know people fly kites. It's quite a big weekend, not just in the Federation, all over the place. And sometimes we yearn for something different, you know, because yes, you can go do the fly, you know, at the flats where there's kite flying out, the beach. So what about okay, so there are no vendors on the Sunday.
No.
So do the campers provide the refreshments and everything else for the public? Is there anything being sold from the campers' point of view, or from the campers themselves?
No. What we do is that we do get sponsorship from various persons in the community. You know, well, on island, I must say, not just in the immediate community, but other persons also. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all. If I'm going to call name, I'm going to run myself in trouble. So I just want to say thank you to all who would have sponsored us over the years, and we are looking forward for your sponsorship again this year. Let me give the number for Charissa Fifield, 669-2684, and you can call her, and she would be able to guide you as how to get forms. You would have asked about cooking. We do cook. We normally cook. Well, in recent time, we cook on gas stove, but we do have demonstration of wood fire, tree stone, and also coal pot.
Okay, and clay pot.
Well, coal pot.
Coal pot. Okay, all right. You never tried the clay pots?
No.
Okay.
And we give the children an opportunity to be a part of the kitchen, to be actually a part of the making of the various dishes.
So it's quite a learning experience for the young people.
Yes.
And quite a discipline experience also.
Yes. And if I may continue with what we normally do. Also, we have a camp of the year. There's a criteria that is set, and at the end of the camp, there would be a camp of the year, and that camp of the year, they would get the next year registration free, and of course, the registration fee is just $50, and you must understand that you are camping from Thursday night, where you would get supper. Friday morning you get breakfast, lunch, dinner, and still snacks in between. The same thing Saturday, the same thing Sunday, and Monday morning you will get breakfast, and then we will break down and we depart.
Only for $50?
Only for $50 EC dollars.
Well, I guess a lot of people should be heading over there then, because $50 EC dollars can't do much at all. Can't even buy you one meal really. So I might be gravitated to spend some time there, because if I can come there with $50 and lime from Thursday to Monday.
Well, yes. I wouldn't term it as lime, though.
Well.
But I do understand.
I got to do my duties.
Yes.
The community things that you guys do. It's quite an interesting thing, and this is the first time I'm hearing about it. Oh. In fact, this is the first time I'm actually hearing that that area is being used, and I know that area quite well, and I find it's such a beautiful area. It's such a beautiful area that a lot of people don't know about. I was thinking something touristic about it once upon a time, to be quite honest. I didn't know that you guys occupy that. Well, this year is our 50th anniversary of Culturama.
Yes.
And anything planned from probably offspring from that camp, or yourself in person? You've been part of the whole Culturama movement for a while. And it looks like, when we look into the past, culture is lifestyle. All right?
Yes, that's true, certainly.
And so you are reflecting upon the lifestyle of the past in that camping experience. Mm-hmm. And so anything?
Well, not. I don't know how to term it, but what I would say, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. But as I said, I was and still involved in Culturama. I am, most persons would know, for many years, I think since maybe 1999, 2000, thereabout, I've been working with the King Hollywood. I have never wrote a song for him, unlike popular belief. However, I have written calypsos. I have written calypsos, a number of calypsos for junior calypsonians. My niece, Shante Hendrickson, Princess Nevier, she is the reigning junior calypso monarch, Culturama calypso monarch. She was dethroned in St. Kitts last December. The year prior to that, she won the crown in St. Kitts. I have two nieces that take part. I have my son. Well, my daughter has passed the age, and I also worked along with two other young ladies. I think last year there were 12 junior calypsonians, and out of the 12 I had 6. And out of the 6, we managed to capture the crown and the first runner-up. That was year 4, not last year. And of course, maybe a little about me again, maybe persons don't know. Over the years, I have written a number of talents for various shows, community shows, church shows, talented, Queen show, a number of shows over the years.
You're interesting. I mean, I know about you over at the Long Point establishment. And it's just quite recently I was traveling in the Zion area, and I saw somebody and I asked, who is that? And it was you. So I mean, you have opened up a lot about you this evening, really. It is your first time here on the program. If there's any particular thing that you would like to talk about? Any particular topic, any particular issue?
Well, I think that maybe this would have been touched already, but I don't think it's so much of an issue to bring it up again. I think that the parking in Charlestown, I think that Charlestown has grown. Well, not Charlestown has grown, but the traffic, on Island has grown tremendously. And I think that the powers that be would have to put on their thinking caps and come up with some sort of solution to ease, the congestion of the traffic and the parking issue in Charlestown. I don't know what you think of that.
Yeah, there's a particular individual that always talk to me about that, and he always think that this should be a topic that we should discuss on this program. He is Mr. Jeffers, once upon a time school teacher, and he always talked to me about that, and I always say, call into the program. It is an issue. Is it an issue? And it obviously, when you go down Prince William Street, go down towards the Bayfront, using Prince William Street, that is the Library Road, you'd realize that a big parking lot now is on the Gallows Bay.
Yes.
A big parking lot now is the Gallows Bay. Sometimes I park there and I hope that the water don't get rough before I get back.
As it is now.
As it is right now. And so I suppose, what do you suggest? Do you suggest they should put more yellow line in Charlestown? Well, they can't put no more because nobody can park anywhere. And these yellow line extend to Ramsbury area, they are not well policed in those areas, all by the credit union, these yellow lines, and sometimes me myself we take a chance and park on those yellow line and go to the credit union. But the question is, solution.
Well, one of the things that I think that we as a people could look at is, we have to be more to develop not just ourselves, but a means of making money. I think that there are lots of empty lots in and around Charlestown that can be developed properly into parking spaces. There's a lot that I believe, and I'm subjected to correction here, that the lot adjacent to Featherbed Alley, that can be developed, I want to believe.
Sorry, what's that alley name again?
Featherbed Alley.
Where is that?
that is just to the back of the credit union, the road that goes down to the back of the credit union.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that's the name of that street.
Well, we are here to learn as we go along, as I said.
Featherbed?
Yes.
F-E, how we spell that, do you?
Just feather.
Feather?
Yeah, and bed.
Bed. Okay, yeah. Featherbed Alley. To the back of the...
credit union.
To the credit union, to the back of the health center.
Yes.
Okay.
Where the health center was.
Great, yeah.
Yes, and, the Methodist Church, I think they do some some parking there.
Yes.
But I think that you probably need to develop, and as it go along, people would catch on, because then the truth is nobody really want to pay. And maybe one of the things that persons who might be going into this particular venture can do is to have maybe weekly passes, monthly passes, where the rate, of course, the amount, of course, would be less than if you were to pay like hourly and stuff like that. But of course, there would be persons who just want to park for an hour and stuff like that. So you should have those rates also.
So that piece of land to the back of the credit union, right? That piece that you would use to go through there, to go to the water department and,
Yes.
the planning department.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good area you're talking about. Isn't that private land now?
Yes, that is what I believe. As I say, I'm subjected to correction. But
There was a sign there once that sold by the Bank of Nevis or something. That gave me the impression it's probably owned by them. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but no doubt it has an owner.
Yeah, but that doesn't diminish the reason why we are talking about it.
Right.
So you find that there is a serious traffic problem in Charlestown.
But of course, especially on a Friday afternoon, traffic is, it's like almost like New York.
Is it a parking problem or a traffic problem?
Both.
But I think there's more a parking problem than a traffic problem. Because the traffic gets a little heavy. I think anywhere in the world you would see that. Think it's St. Martin anywhere, but once the traffic is moving, to me, it's okay, But I think the parking problem is something which is posing more of a problem. But is it really posing a problem, or is just we who just want to park into Charlestown and take a short walk to where we're going, as opposed to parking a little distant away?
Naya, I think that you probably would have hit the nail on the head, because I think that it's probably part of our culture or part of our upbringing. We want to be able to park by this particular store, and we go in the store, we do our shopping, and we come back and walk straight into our vehicles. But you are someone who would have traveled, and you travel to the bigger cities, and you have to walk to get the train station, you have to walk for the bus stop, and you would manage, because you have whether you want to walk with a cart or you have all these bags in your hand, and you have to go, because if the bus stop is not there or the train station is not there, you have to go, or you would take a taxi. So maybe it's part of our culture. Maybe it's going to be difficult for us to break out, because habits, maybe it's habitual, and habits tend to take some time to break. So that is something that we need to start to develop, and education have to be part of it. We just can't just jump in, just like for instance, if the police is going to change a particular route to be a one-way, there should be some education. You should want to show people the pros and the cons. And one of the things that we can do as a society is to show that show the positive. If you walk, you are getting some exercise, so that's a positive. And most persons now are health conscious. So if you want to stay, you are busy, you have to work, one job, two jobs, that's a way of you getting a bit of exercise. You park maybe even at the villa grounds, and you drive down. The
villa grounds fence up.
Well, there are gates, and as I said, it is owned by someone.
Yeah.
It's just, you need to know who are the relevant persons you need to communicate with.
Okay.
You communicate with them, and I'm sure that ground would have been utilized over the years
Yeah.
for parking. Albeit that the school use it also.
Okay.
So we have to be mindful of that.
Okay, so you see it as a good business venture for someone to get into, establishing a good parking lot for vehicles somewhere close, to Charlestown. But is it a real problem that we cannot park in Charlestown? Do you think it's a real problem? I understand that you said that it's a good business venture. It can be, which I agree with you. But you're also highlighting the advantages of not parking in Charlestown and parking a distant away. So that tends to say to me that it's not really a pressing problem. The problem is that we just want to jump up with car and go in the stores instead of parking somewhere which is, a distant away.
Right. And if that is the case, and if there are empty lots in Charlestown that could be utilized, as parking spaces, then maybe the landowners, could develop it as a business venture. That is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because if we do not want to walk the distance, which, some persons really do not want to, then let they pay for parking.
Yes, and also that we're a tourist destination, and sometimes you find in tourist destination you have a walk-in, a street that nobody can drive on. It's a pedestrian walkway, and of course such walkways are usually packed with vendors, doing things, selling things for the visitors and the tourists and so forth. That I'm waiting to see somewhere in Nevis, because we're a tourist destination. What happens a lot these days too, and this might just segue into another thing a little bit, is that we see a lot of tourist ships coming in on Sundays.
Yes,
on Sundays, when everywhere in Charlestown is closed. And the tourists then look so frustrated sometimes. They're walking back and forth, and the only thing that's happening in Charlestown is like Amos is having their church, Westland Holiness is having their church, and they would hang even there for a bit and stroll around.
But to be fair, Naya, I would have heard, I want to believe via this radio station, various persons, making appeal to the general public to open the stores, because a particular ship would be in on a particular date, especially on Sundays. I would have heard that appeal. So it is, that is what I'm saying again, it's a cultural thing that we need to break out of, because we have to understand now that the world doesn't revolve around us only. We have to put our foot out, wet our foot, so to speak, and we start just like years ago. I don't know if you can recall, years ago, everybody used to close up when 12 o'clock come for lunch.
Yes.
But we have grown past that, we have moved past that, and we understand that now we can set various times for lunch, and so offices could remain open. So persons, who on a particular lunch break, can go and, get the business done. Cause if everyone was supposed to just close at 12, for example, and then go back in at 1, then that hour basically is wasted. An hour out of the 8 hour working day is basically wasted.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, we did that, as a people. So I am now saying, as a people, we now need to step out of the box, and start opening up our businesses on Sundays. Because then, I don't really want to touch religion, but it could be an advantage to, at least for some, because we know, for example, the Seventh-day Adventist followers. They would not go into Charlestown or anywhere else, I presume, and shop or do business on a Saturday. So I am now saying now that at least, you know, those persons, you know, may go out and shop on a Sunday, and then, you know, gradually it would catch on, and persons, they are going to come over time. It would not happen at the snap of a finger, but over time. It's just like a business plan, a business venture. You know, going into a business, you know, you have to have a plan, short term, mid term, long term. You know, when my profits, so to speak, are going to start to roll in. You understand? So it's the same thing with opening on a Sunday. You tell yourself, for the first 3-4 years, you know, we may not have the desired number of persons as we wish, but 5, 7, 8 years, it's going to be like business as normal.
It is something we got to deal with, and even though I don't see a lot of touristic orientated stores in Charlestown, but what you can see is somebody coming with a tent too, you know. Somebody coming with a tent. And we Nivisians have to wake up and smell the coffee. Because the minute you see someone else from somewhere else come and start putting down their tents and selling their handicraft and selling the touristic items, people start saying, foreigners, foreigners, foreigners. But it is that lack of sometimes resourcefulness and deep thought, that lack of competitiveness, which we can have to really, you know, step up our game with, you know, here on Nevis as Nivisians, and make use of these vacancies, because to me it's a vacancy. Every Sunday I go to Charlestown and tourists just a spin around and walk up and down. The handicraft is not open. The little art place next to it is not open, and there isn't much. On the other side, I think there is a foreigner run. You know, there isn't much. But to me, if someone come with a tent and park it right there where the old customs used to be, right there by the statue of Mr. Daniel.
Yes.
They catch all the birds. They catch all the birds right there, you know, presenting products that are touristic by nature, something they can use, see as, buy as a souvenir, and so forth. I think that will be a part of the tourist product of Nevis, I suppose. I don't think anyone who comes on a boat and come into an island and walk up and down on Sunday and don't see much, will be inclined to return or tell somebody about it. That's you know, because really and truly, I don't think we are doing as we should, you know, in terms of benefiting from the whole
but
influx of tourists.
Now, what we as a people again have to ask ourselves, you know, have we realized that tourism is the engine of not just Nevis, but I dare say for most of the Caribbean islands?
Yes.
And if we recognize that, then we have to ask ourselves a few questions. You know, how can we sustain it? What can we do as a people? How can we get people coming back to visit our shores? And then we need to put our heads together. We can't always wait for signal from the government.
Oh no.
Because in most times, the government, they are waiting on us, you know.
Yes.
To give them the signal for them to step forward. Because they represent us. You know. So, you know, but we have to get out of our comfort zone. We have to come out of our comfort zone. Once we are out of our comfort zone, and we have to understand, when you're going into business, it's a risk you're taking. So you have to want to take that risk. You have to be willing to take that risk. The risk is basically a two-way street. Is either you're going to gain or you're going to lose. But how would you know if you're going to gain or if you're going to lose if you don't take that risk? And that's the question. That is what we have to ask ourselves. You know, how successful persons out there would have become successful. did they just sit back and relax? If they were selling a particular product, did they increase? Did they add to the stock? What they did? Because if you just sit back and relax, then you definitely cannot be successful. You're going to be home dreaming, to win the lotto. And you may not even have a chance to win the lotto because you may not even play. But you want to win the lotto.
I feel.
So we have to be realistic. We have to understand what is going on out there. And we have to understand that whatever we do, we are not doing it for ourselves. We are doing it for our country. We are doing it for our generations yet unborn. Just like planting a tree. Some persons are selfish. I ain't gonna plant a tree because, I ain't get a mango off of it. I ain't get a guava off of it. But then we get guavas. We get mangoes.
From who?
Exactly. And if those persons were selfish, would we have gotten a mango or a guava? This is what we have to ask ourselves. So we cannot be selfish. We have to be able, to think beyond, quote unquote, our nose.
I think that's what they call foresight.
Yes.
It troubles me sometimes when I see things that's been planted a long time, which we don't know who planted them, because they've been planted a long time. Or like the cedar trees in the burial ground, in front of Rams, that burial ground there, Charleston burial ground.
Britannic, I know
Britannic
this.
burial ground. You know the names very well. And like the cedar trees that used to be surrounding Grove Park, and even the Villa Park, who planted them?
That's a question that I can't understand, but it's somebody before us.
Yes, and it makes me wonder, what plan do we have? Because if you don't be careful, those were planted by white people. Maybe by the planters, maybe not too long after slavery and those things, the cedar trees that surround the Jews, not the Jews burial ground, the old burial ground down there at down by the Bethel Church.
Old Hospital Road.
Old Hospital Road. And I wonder sometimes, and what you're saying makes, it's good medicine for everyone, individuals and government, because it's called foresight. It's called foresight, and if we have that foresight at times, we would engage, we would indulge ourselves in exercises, in actions that maybe we won't see the benefit of, but the island will, and our children will, and we can't afford to forget that. It's our responsibility today,
yes.
And sometimes I wonder even, if that kind of thinking still exists, because even with governments, they like to see something done now and the benefit is realized now. I don't know if it's because every 5 years there's an election or what, but anything that tends to go beyond that, there never seems to have much thing to do with it, in a sense, And I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, not just for the individual, but for anyone who's in those positions to do things, Well, I see a great initiative by the Agriculture Department down at Indian Castle.
Yes.
With the fruit orchard.
Yes.
And I hope that comes to reality and so forth. But it's that type of thing I'm thinking about. And once upon a time, I did make a suggestion, which is the planting of what we call cedar tree, not cedar tree. What's that hardwood?
Mahogany.
Mahogany grows wild in Nevis. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
And I make a suggestion to have a massive garden of mahogany trees.
And the lifespan is hundreds of years.
Hundreds and hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
But that was never. Well, people laugh at me, but I think it is that kind of foresight that I think we should have.
And the foresight also, Naya, is this.
Yes, sir.
Don't just make a suggestion to have a garden of a field of mahogany trees, do what?
Start it.
Plant it. And because in my view, ain't that part of the great problem that we do have? Everybody wants to be the person who suggests what should be done. The question is, who's going to do it? In fact, I was talking with my guys today about different things. We're trying to strategize certain things, and I said to them that this morning I didn't play. I was listening after I had finished my shift, and there was this fella from, I think he's Dominica. He has a song, I think the name of it is Animal Farm, and part of the lyrics said, everybody just waiting, trying to get in there to get their hand on the public purse. In other words, everybody is just waiting around for one particular avenue, and nobody's paying attention to the other avenues, right? So I think that is one of the things. So everybody has these great suggestions, but I am saying that we should do this, but Naya is the one who should do it. Somewhere it is written in a story. Somebody who is listening might remember it and know it better than me. It's a Bible story that when everybody was saying, who will go? One fellow stood up and said, here am I, send me. So that's my contribution to that point you made, man.
It's a worthwhile contribution, Webbo. In that particular venture, and when I did mention it, I did think of it as not a private but a public project.
Yeah,
because such things require a huge area of land, which there are some people with all these lands, but of course I don't. And
yeah, but you know, even the mahogany tree, you know, it started small.
yes.
Okay. Now, let me get a quick break and then we will come back. This is Thought That Get Results. Roger Fifield, Conrad Nye Libert. When we come back, your phone calls on 1-869-469-1616 or 1700. Back after these.
Builders Paradise is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. Builders Paradise has over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builders Paradise has what you need. Wow! Oh, and remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better. This is something that you can't refuse. Visit Builders Paradise today at the C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Site in St. Kitts or call them at 466-4938.
Are you building a new home or repairing an existing home or constructing a commercial project? Contact Brickfelds International for paints, porcelain and ceramic tiles, tile cement, green heart, and more for the best quality products direct from the manufacturer at unbeatable prices. Call now at 1-869-767-3450 or email brickfelds@gmail.com.
Always satisfying. Vaughn Radio, the powerhouse.
Back on this episode of Thought That Get Results. Roger Fifield, Conrad Nye Libert. Your phone calls on 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. Gentlemen, you got anything else or?
Well, maybe we know that Culturama is coming up, and this is our big year, the 50th anniversary, or the 50th staging of Culturama. And I think that, well, it's been banded around that, you know, a number of divisions would be returning. And I think that it's been said that Nevis is going to stink with persons. And one of the things, Mr. Herbert, that we have to look at with so many persons coming back is the cultural food fair. I think that it's going to be held at the Malcolm Recreational Park. And we spoke about parking earlier. And I want to suggest humbly that one of the things that we can do to alleviate that quote-unquote problem is that maybe the lands that is on the bypass road, some of that land can be cleared and for persons to park. Persons may not want to walk, but maybe what the Culturama Committee can do, or the government, is to have trams, to have maybe shuttle, yes, that's the word, thanks, to have a shuttle service, taking persons from where they are parked down, and for it to flow smoothly, the public would need to know that the shuttle is going to leave at X time and it's going to return at X, and you probably need a few shuttles to do that. And in that way, Mr. Herbert, too, the government, whoever is going to take responsibility for it, that's a way of making some money too.
And what if also in that discussion or debate, the department that is responsible for preventative healthcare, who normally put on every now and then a walkathon, or encourage you on a Friday to leave your vehicle someplace and walk, right? What if they come in and make a suggestion and say that your idea is a very good idea in parking in that vicinity? The distance is a couple 100 feet, so it's a good idea if you park that and you just walk down.
Well, Mr. Herbert, it's, as you say, it's an argument, so persons would have to to debate and to put forth the various cases, and at the end of it, I suppose who get over the case, the
right.
better.
So you were making that case. So if I was given that case to present to you as an alternate to what you suggest, you say what?
Well, first, Mr. Herbert, it was just a suggestion. But what I would say is that it's because we have to be realistic. What I'm suggesting here is not to get that area congested, because we all would have seen how congested it was over the years, and we have to understand if there's an emergency. Can the emergency service vehicles, the ambulance, the fire truck, can they get through in a timely manner? So all of those things we have to put on the table.
Right, so that will be your counter.
Well, that will be part of it.
Okay, so how would that negate or impede the ambulances and getting around if persons are walking from that area to the Gishad Park? That's number one. Number two, the trams, etc. and so on, that moving back and forth. what happens to the regular traffic that's going to be going to Jessup's and beyond, or going to Charlestown and so forth? How would that you respond to same congestion that you're trying to run away from if the trams are moving back and forth?
Well, let me just put some perspective to it. I don't know if you would have heard, if you can recall, when there was the first ever jag race at the St. James's jag race strip. I can recall.
Keep in mind, the suggestions that I'm making keeps intact the parking.
Yes.
What the points I'm making are speaking to moving the persons from the parking area to the park.
Right.
So the parking is there's no debate against that. The trams moving back and forth instead of walking. That's is what the area we're dealing with. Let me take this. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Good evening. One question to the five people about the camp. How you get water from the government? You bring your own water. How you get the electricity from government from the use generator? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that, caller. We do use generator, and we do get a line from the government. And what we do to we have jumps, and I think last, if memory serves me right, we had one of these big black, what do you call them, jumps? These big black containers.
Containers, yeah.
Right, and we fill it, and then we run a line from that, and you know, to service us. There was another question here?
No,
I didn't.
that was the only question. Right, but you were continuing. So I was making the point that in reference to the idea of the parking, that's not being debated. What is debated is the other aspect of the tram to get you to the park as opposed to walking.
Yes,
So if you will concede that, well, you know, let me know.
But I mean, you know, as I said, Mr. Herbert, you know, there's.
Sorry, you were on about the first drag strip.
Yes.
Race.
Yeah. Thanks, Naya. When there was the first race, I can recall I had to go to work for 1 at the airport, and I live at Webb's Ground. That's most people call it Zion, to the bottom of Zion. And when I drove down to what we call Matty Bottom, I don't know if persons are familiar, but down the road past New River, traffic was as such that you would have think that it's a 6-lane. I tried to where they have the funeral home. I couldn't get up that road. Traffic was like that. I had to try maneuver and go back, and then I had to drive up through Lefko and go right around to up into Butlers and come down in order to get out of that jam. Now, what I'm fast forwarding now, Webbo, what I'm saying is that if the authorities allow persons to park, then the congestion and the jam and the jamming up of traffic would be much more. Now, so they would have to present the case. Look, nobody would be allowed to park in that area, and because I can argue for both sides. You wouldn't be able to park in the area. We're going to clear an area in the vicinity of the bypass road. We're going to make sure it's properly lit for security purposes. And if I'm having on the health hat, we're encouraging you to take a stroll. You are coming in, you can meet up with someone, have a nice little talk while you exercise. It's going to be a short while before you reach, and before you know it, you are there. That could be an argument, and it is healthy. Now, the flip side of this, right, is that you may, bearing in mind, if no traffic is allowed to park there, then the free flow of traffic from Charlestown going into Jessup and onwards, that would be able to go freely. Now, on the flip side of that, now there are persons, sorry to say, but who are lazy, and there are some persons with physical disabilities, and who may not be able to walk that long. So we have to look at it holistically. We just can't look at it, at a one-track angle. Also, I want to believe that prices would be increased this year for the various winners. So if the cultural committee is the one who is heading that, then that's an avenue that they can push. Look, we're going to get our charm. You're going to charge $2, how much ever, to go down, and that's a means of raising some funds also. So we could look at it on the health aspect. We could look at it to alleviate traffic, the free flow of traffic, and we can look at it as helping persons, who are physically challenged and otherwise.
I just to come in here, I'm more walking with you with this, because I think a large number of people walking on the road poses a risk, of injury, and so forth. I am not sure it's a time to think about exercising, because you go to the food fair, you're eating, drinking. Some people is going to be intoxicated and all kind of thing. I think it will be a great convenience for a shuttle to take anyone from there and take them to the parking lot, and take people from the parking lot to. I think it would be quite a great convenience, honestly, because when people are having fun, they've been down there for many hours drinking, and of course we cannot eliminate this high risk of people being intoxicated, and after such events, and walking on the street with a large number of people walking on the street, I believe that there exists a big risk right there in terms of personal injury and so forth. I really don't see the traffic being impeded if you have 2 or 3 buses, large buses, operating back and forth, and you can probably put a time to it, and you can promote it, as a part of the whole thing. You hear when the shuttle is leaving and so forth. I think it would be an organized kind of way to have people coming and leaving, such a big event, because at the top of the road right there, when you come from down on Penny's Beach, that's a area there always very heavy with traffic when there is an event. And if this event is going to be so big as we anticipate it to be,
oh yes,
I think what you're saying make a lot of sense to me. If they can find such land on the bypass road, because a lot of it is private land, of course, and Newfoundland own a lot of it too. I don't think they'll be bothered to do that. But to me, it's a very good suggestion. I see it operating in various places. Across the Narrows in St. Kitts, there are shuttles that pick up people in Bastia and take them up to TDC. Up at what area of the name again?
I'm not following you, but
I think TDC have an outlet somewhere up at I can't remember the area, but out of town, you know. And to me, it's just you're providing a service that would, of course, make it convenient for your business. And in this case, you're providing a service that make it a lot more convenient for people to go back and forth. Really, it's not a comfortable walk, put it that way, leaving Malcolm Gishard Park and walking all the way to the bypass road when such events are taking place. It is not, because the traffic continues. There isn't no pedestrian walkway to say, well, okay, we are walking away from the traffic. You got to walk to the side of the road, and traffic is going back and forth,
especially after you've gotten a few drinks.
You're a bit intoxicated.
Yes,
you know. So I think it's a great suggestion, really.
Well,
and it's very easy to take that on board as far as I check, you know, because I mean, when someone suggests something which is would make things a little more organized, I can't imagine, you know, such things, because we have so many cars, you know. I mean, you're gonna park on both sides going down on the beach, you know. You're gonna park as you come up and you take that right. People's gonna park all the way. You know, there's going to be a lot of walking on the road. You know, I find it's a worthwhile suggestion, personally.
And the roads would it naturally become more narrow?
More narrow?
Because of the parking on either side.
So where the people going to walk then?
No, what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. There's no pedestrian walkway, so the road's going to become more narrow. And the traffic is going to be moving back and forth. It's a good suggestion. It's a good suggestion. Are you on the committee?
I'm not on the central committee anymore. But I had a few years there, about 5 to 6 years on the central committee. But you know, I'm not there anymore. But I'm sure that they are listening. And if they are not listening, you know, somebody who is listening would make the suggestion to them.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously the planning seems to be taking place. You know, early days planning, and it's this big thing that's supposed to happen here on island, and of course convenience may make a lot of sense.
Let me get this. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Good evening, Mr. Herbert. I'm calling from St. Eustatius, and I'm listening to your program and hearing about the parking and at Malcolm Gishard area. Or the land that is there, that permit me to say you're a newcomer on the program. I think it's a good thing. I'll tell you something. In St. Eustatius, Easter Monday is a big thing because everybody goes down on the bay. And what I do know, we provide a shuttle service. They give you the timing, and everybody who have vehicles, okay, you could go in and out, but there's a cut-off time. And so those who are going down, we have an area, and those who are in St. Eustatius, where the secondary school is and the Golden Rock School is, the parking area there, they get permission and they provide the security and everything is there. And you have the buses. I think they used to use the school bus, those big ones, and they would take you down to the bay. And then when it is time to come back up, they bring you back to where you park. Because really and truly on Easter Monday, there's quite a number of vehicles. So those who are to get in, like the bands and other things, they get in early o'clock. And so the shuttle is a good thing. And then hearing about the camp that the gentleman does, it seems to be a good thing. Having camping experience is going to camp. And that type of thing, it's a good thing. So, lovely program. I'm enjoying it. Thanks for hearing me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, you know, I suppose as the caller have mentioned, I mean, he obviously have seen it work in Central Asia, and to me, it's a great suggestion, you know, to be taken on board, because of course we expect a lot of people, and as it is today, it's already a problem going down on Penny's Beach, to be quite honest, as it is today in terms of finding parking, even to go down the fluency of traffic. You know, I see the government is doing a lot down there in terms of creating parking spaces and so forth. It looks like they're going to be concreting the whole area down there, which obviously going to make it much easier, because as it is today, it's a problem to park on Penny's Beach. You know, with the large amount of vehicles we have today, and of course, you know, when Culturama comes, it's a different story.
Yeah, that is true, Naya, because by the time Culturama comes, you know, all the rentals will be out, and we must be expecting a number of vehicles will be coming across from St. Kitts too. So, you know, it's not just the vehicles on Nevis that are every day.
I went down there for the Mango Festival and I couldn't believe so many people, man.
Okay.
You know, I live in the area, and of course I had to leave my vehicle at home and walk. And still, it's very uncomfortable walking, because you got to be looking around a lot, you know, because car park on both sides the road becomes a little narrow, and, you know, we drive too fast here, of course. And, you know, it's to me, it's a great suggestion. It should be taken on board if they can find that land to clean and create the parking.
And you're suggesting that it may not be government land, but, you know, a conversation could be had. You know, allow me to use this piece of land for parking. I will clear it down for you for free. You exactly. You know, so you just need a conversation, and then things could happen. But you have, as Webbo said earlier, you have to start somewhere. You know, and I think that could definitely happen. Don't know if we would have probably exhausted that, and if you have something else you probably want to speak about.
Yeah, let me get a quick break and come right back. This is Thought That Get Results. Conrad Nye Liber, Roger Fifield. Your phone calls on 1-869-469-1616 and 01700. Back after the
Are you building a new home, or repairing an existing home, or constructing a commercial project? Contact Brickfelds International for paints, porcelain and ceramic tiles, tile cement, green heart, and more, for the best quality products direct from the manufacturer at unbeatable prices. Call now at 1-869-767-3450 or email brickfelds@gmail.com.
back on this episode of Thought That Get Results with Conrad Nye Liber, Roger Fifield. Your phone calls on 1-869-469-1616 and 01700. What else we got? Okay, I was wondering or thinking, you know, if we look at the United States and what is happening there with the political campaign and all that, and the legal cases and stuff like that. One of the things that is of interest to me, not only in terms of what it meant to the United States, but whether it will reverberate across the other countries and islands, is a defamation lawsuit with Donald Trump and the humongous settlement, or the not the settlement, but the verdict in terms of $83 million for defamation, right? In other words, for speaking ill and inaccurate things about someone. So I am wondering whether or not, in not only United States, if it will serve as a deterrent to persons from defaming other persons in the United States, but also across the other islands. What do you think?
Well, 82 million is a big one, Mr. Webbo, anywhere. I think a lot of defamation works well, even here. I know in the past there were some cases whereby, huge money was charged, with huge money from my point of view, some like 80,000 and so forth. But it should restrict people, because that's what the law is for, to prevent people from defaming people. I think the definition is when you said things that make people think ill of you in the profession which you serve. We got to be mindful with that, and as a newcomer, Mr. Fifield, I'm sure you would be very much aware of that. But to me, on a local front, it works well. I think people are very mindful of that here, because I've seen a few people had to pay huge sums. But also with the social media, Mr. Webbo, you're going to find this becoming an issue more and more to the forefront, and I understand with AI now, artificial intelligence, that is something which, from what I've been, listening to, is going to be employed to do just that. I'm not sure how much we're gonna have to battle with that in the Caribbean, and on the local front. But I suppose, when Americans sneeze, we catch the cold, and this is a global community, and people jump onto things pretty easy. And so I think we are going through a period where there's a lot of unknown as to the potential positive, negative of AI. And it's something that seems like it's going to be employed to the fullness in the American election. So it is something that we obviously will have to be dealing with. And it looks like the law of defamation is there. And I am not sure who would be so clever to get around that using AI. It's really, unknown territories, I suppose, to us globally, and more so here in the Caribbean. And so we got to wait and see. How these regions will be impacted after we are. Well, we seems to be always student of America, and so we will see how much of us gonna really be good student of employing the AI and using it to defame people.
But even outside of the AI, it's an ongoing debate where people will say things obviously that they know are not true, but meant to hurt. And I'm just thinking, as I said, that having realized that some of the most powerful people who figured that they could say and do anything and hurt anyone, they have now been feeling it where it hurts most. And so I'm just wondering whether in our society we can, you reference sneezing and catching a cold, whether those persons who employ those tactics will now perhaps say, well, let me pull back a bit, because maybe the judges around here also can catch a cold from that and then apply something which is because as someone, we're discussing this same thing off here, and someone pointed out, is not so much, maybe they might pull a trick so that they don't have to pay the 83 million, but what it does is sends a message, and you just can't go about hurting people. By the way, I made a notation that he actually paid only. When I say only, I mean in relative terms, but he paid $5 million for rape, for sexual assault. $5 million.
Yeah.
And 83 million for telling lies. Yes, Roger.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Herbert. Yes, we have to understand that, we live in a global society now, that, what happens now here in Nevis, St. Kitts Nevis, in a matter of minutes, the world knows. And so we have to understand that all that we have is our character. And we can't allow persons to assassinate our character, to defame us and to say derogatory things about us when we know that it is not so. Because if we allow it to go on, then in the next, you may just say, I'm not going to worry that. But then if in the next 5-10 years, you want to go into some business venture, you want to relocate, then this thing just keep popping up. Roger Fifield, such and such and such, which may not be real, may not be the truth. So people now have to stand up for themselves and understand, because when all the clothes is off your back, the clothes they're off your back, you become broke. Your character still stands with you wherever you go. And if it is one thing you have to protect, is your character. And as Naya alluded to, when America sneezes, we catch the cold, and it's going to catch on. And you would have said too that the judges may very well catch that cold too, because the world, the rest of the world, the eyes are on America to see what the United States of America is doing. How can we follow? So I think that it's going to catch on, and it's going to catch on. Well, it's already been here, but it's going to be happening more frequently, in my opinion.
Yes, go ahead now.
I honestly think, Webbo, it's a heavy figure, and well, what I'm wondering if that was dished out to Donald Trump, because it was Donald Trump, the personality. But regardless of what, to me it sent a precedent. It set a trend there. And that is a bit worrying to Webbo. Of course, you should not defame people. You should not say bad things about people for whatever reason, But looking at that figure, as you say, a rape for 5 million, defamation 83 million. Should that really be the trend? Because it was done to Donald Trump, the mischievous bad guy in America, who's been doing a lot of awful and saying a lot of awful things, really. I mean, should that really be the standards, really?
Yes, go ahead.
As I said, Mr. Herbert, your character is what is of substance. I remember many years ago, growing up as a youngster, I had this particular gentleman. He was in jail, and a particular shop was broken into, and the police went to his house. The police went to his house to lock him up, not realizing that he was actually in jail. So I am saying this: if we allow people to assassinate our character, then who are we? Where are we going? We have to stand up for ourselves, and we have to, if we have to move the court to clear our name, that's what we are to do.
And some people, Webbo, I must say, who have bad character, there's a lot of faking of that taking place these days too. people who has bad character in America, they come down here and they paint a good picture of themselves. They have all kind of thing false and everything going on, that they can come here and get a decent job. And some people come with also fake certificates of education, you know. And so that's just another side of it. That's another side of it. What should we do with those people when we find out?
We have to make them examples. Simple. Because if we don't, and they are allowed to walk scot-free, then you would realize that other persons are looking on, and they're going to say that if he can do it and get away, I can get away too. Mind you, 10 persons may do it, maybe 6 get away, and 4 doesn't get away. But then the 6 that get away, what kind of impact, or how they would impact society? And that is what maybe the real question is. How would they impact society? For example, you speak to academics and the false certifications, maybe of diplomas, degrees, etc. Right? And then, you know, if the 6 out of 10, that is 60%. And if 60% or even 40%, you know, were to get away with it, then you recognize that 40% of our society is really fake. You know, and if that is so, then where are we going? Where are we heading? You know, the young ones who are coming up, what can we teach them of substance for them to stay on the straight and the narrow? Everybody may want to buy a degree to maybe, instead of to take the loan to go to school, they take the loan to buy a certificate. So this, and we have to understand too, if these certificates are falsifying, there must be 2 players: the person who are buying and the persons who are selling. So then it becomes a problem now, because then we have dishonesty on both sides. You know, so this is something we have to guard against, and we really have to guard against it if we want our society, our country, to be of a certain standard. Because it doesn't make any sense to polish it and then the polish or the paint start to peel off and then everything just drop flat. You know, you want your foundation to be solid and not, I believe the Bible said, you know, you don't build it on sandy ground, but you build a foundation on a solid rock.
But don't you think the president of, well, maybe he's not the president, but Donald Trump being charged $5 million for rape and 83 for defamation, it feels like something is wrong with that, though.
Maybe it may seem so to you, and arguably so, because that's something like, if your math is correct, like $78 million difference. But the thing is, as I said, when it is all said and done, the only thing that you have is your character. And if you allow your character to be assassinated, someone to, you know, to speak ill when it is not so, then who are you?
That's true.
Who are you? You know, you don't even know yourself. And some persons, I hope I'm not segueing here, but some persons, for example, if my father is a rum drinker, you know, automatically they think that I'm a rum drinker. If my father is a thief, you know, they're going to figure, you know, thief, you know, when it is not necessarily so. You understand? Each individual person, you understand, you know, has their own unique characteristics, their own unique self. And as such, each person, you know, should be judged based on who he or she is, and not of someone else, whether falsely, you know, well, falsely, but it would have to be falsely.
Well said, because everyone has a character. It doesn't matter. Even if you sweep the drain in Charlestown, you have a character that can be defamed. You know, you're the big lawyer. Of course, a lot of people only think only those with high and big jobs, you know, have a character to defend. You know, but everyone has. The mason, the carpenter, everyone, you know, the welder, everyone has a character. And I suppose what left when all is eroded supposed to be your character, which you probably can, you know, start afresh with, you know. Character, reputation, it all comes together, you know. And but I still think, I am not sure that that positive message being sent when one is charged 5 million for rape, 5 million and 83 for defamation, you know. Rape is the worst thing you can think about, you can do to an individual, really. To be defamed, then that can bring you down in a big way too, in a big way, and a lasting way. I think it's very difficult to weigh up both, because obviously there are surrounding circumstances involved in the consideration, you know, of these amounts, I suppose.
Maybe to be the devil's advocate here, right? Well, before I go into that, what I always say and tell other persons, if I do something, I may do it not wanting to be caught, but if I am caught, I am willing to pay the consequence. Now, having said that, right, how would you feel, Naya? Let me not say Naya. How do you think someone would feel if they rape someone, knowing that they rape someone, right, and they have to pay a fee, a figure, a fine, right? And how you think that same someone is going to feel that someone said that they raped them, knowingly that they did not rape that person, and because of that allegation, you know, you can't get a work, you can't get to feed your family. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just like it limits you, but you actually did it. Yes, it's serious, it is bad, but you know you do it. But now on the other hand, you know you didn't do it, but guess what? It's just as if, you know, quote unquote, you did it, because then you can't do anything, you can't get to work, you can't maybe even travel to certain places, you are frowned upon and stuff like that. So I don't know how the law or the judges look at it, but that is just my little synopsis, you know, of it. I don't know what you think.
Well, I think the worst thing, you know, stain one can have is being called a rapist, really, you know. And so if you've been called that with no, you know, you have not, you know, did the act, really, I think you hit the nail on the head there. So it's like the gravity of the crime, you know, and that's why I say, you know, there are surrounding circumstances that involve in the decision making by the judge, you know, as to the amount, I suppose. So in this case, Donald Trump, 82 million, Lord, but I don't know.
That's not strange to him.
You know, I'm 5 million for rape. So of course, that defamation must be one that, I mean, has far-reaching effects, I suppose, and maybe that goes beyond the individual, you know, and hinges upon others' existence, other people's lives, you know. But it's still something that one will have to think deeply about, you know, if it sends the right message in a general sense, in a general sense.
Yeah, I'm with you, Naya. I'm with you. So I guess it's just interpretation, application of the laws, and probably to those who are suing too, maybe how much they sued for.
Yes.
You know, and then I guess maybe depends on how much is sued for. The judges would apply the law accordingly and know, you know, if they can get maybe that amount or maybe something less. I'm not. I don't come from a legal background, so I'm just, you know, speaking, you know, what I think, you know.
But let's hope we don't have such things, you know. I mean, adapted here in the Caribbean, where you know, people start saying things about people. We haven't had a lot of that in the Federation.
Not widespread.
It sounds like.
Yeah, not widespread.
We haven't been hearing much about that in all this political back and forth, you know. I guess people has been very careful what to say because of probably past example, because I know a few people had to pay, you know, and so forth. So once that remain the rod of correction, you know, that defamation and the consequence of defaming someone, I guess, and and judges are really throwing the book at you when that comes before them. I guess we can look forward to a better society, you know, in the way we speak about our fellow man.
That's the last word. Roger, hope you had a good debut.
Yes, thanks.
Now, what do you think?
It was beautiful talking to him. Yeah. He's good.
And
he's good.
It seemed as if the point that he made about the camp, I think people are interested. I know my audience, and I think people are going to inquire more about that. And a lot of people are going to be interested even in either joining that one or starting one. See what I mean when I say thought that get results? This program repeats tomorrow at 10 o'clock following the VON News Minute. Join the Honorable Mark Brantley tomorrow evening for 8 o'clock for On the Map. And join Keith Scarborough on Thursday evening at 8 o'clock for Government at Work. It's a good way to spend all of your evenings right here in the Eastern Caribbean Spa House, where every single thing we do it for you. It's only the best we'll do. You all have a wonderful evening.
Views and opinions expressed in the preceding program are solely those of